I live in a little department called Sarthe in France, and I've recently been exploring it on my motorcycle, and I'm absolutely falling in love with all the little villages surrounding the city where I live. So today I really want to create a map that shows all of the towns and little villages within the boundaries of this department, so that as I explore, I can map out on my routes and see where I've been, and just get a better feel of what's around. I'm creating this map with Adobe After Effects and a premium extension called Geo-layers 3. There's links to everything down in the video description. If you'd like to get the project files, you can check out my Patreon page. And if you would like to become a master of Geo-layers 3, check out my Geo-layers 3 masterclass. Alright, I'm inside of Adobe After Effects and I've got Geo-layers 3 open over here. The first thing I want to do is set up a map comp. And actually, before I even set up the map comp, I can start to add map features to my little feature browser down here. So this map is going to focus on the department where I live in France, and the city where I live is actually in the middle of the department. So I'm going to search the city, which is called Le Mans. And then I'm going to add this feature to the browser. This top feature here is from OpenStreetMap, and it's the administrative boundaries of the city. So I'm going to add this. It's automatically going to frame up my map comp here, or the map preview area, and show me this map feature. And if I double click right here, it's going to give me all the other options of map features that I can pull from this area, which includes the actual department here. So I'm going to go click Add to Browser. And if I want to see the entire department, I can simply double click on this, and now we have this framed up exactly how we want it. So now I'm going to click Create Map Comp, and it actually automatically names the map comp based on the region that we're in, because this is one of the departments of the region. So I'll just rename this based on the department, because that's really what this map is going to be about. And now I'm going to go ahead and select the Bing aerial imagery, click Create. Now I want to crop out my map imagery here via the department. So I want this to all be transparency. Maybe I can add a solid background later. I only want to see the department. So to do that, I'm going to use an alpha mat. So I'm going to go grab my map geometry here for the department, the Sarthe department, and I'll click on layer styles. And all that really matters is that I have a fill selected that's 100% opacity. So color is pretty irrelevant here. So if I just click on edit styles, I can go and see that this has a fill and the opacity is set to 100. So this one is going to work just fine. I also want to check these 4 parameters down here. The main one you want to make sure you have deselected is inside map comp, because if this is selected, it's going to put the shape layer inside of this pre-comp, which is what I don't want to happen. I want to make sure that it's placed inside of this containing comp here, so I can use it as an alpha mat. So now with this selected, I'm going to draw this feature out. Now we can see here is the department. So to use this as an alpha mat, you go over here to your track mat column. If you can't see it, click on this little button down here. And if you still can't see it, toggle the switches and modes button. Now go grab your map comp layer here, grab the pick whip, and then select the Sarthe shape layer here, and now it will crop it out. Voila. It automatically turns the visibility of your shape layer and basically takes the transparency information and says, hey, use this for this layer. And now I can double click this to make sure that it's perfectly framed up. All right, and now for the moment of truth. I want to download all of the cities, towns, and villages within this specific department. If you go over here, there's a little plus button that says Add Features to Browser. If you click on this, at the top, there's something called Download Features. So if you click on this, this gives you access to a bunch of different data sets, the majority of which are from a source called Natural Earth. So you have countries, states and provinces, time zones, all kinds of different things. However, you don't have cities and towns and villages. Well, if you go down to the bottom here, you have 2 additional options to pull data from OpenStreetMap, and they're based on your current view. And your current view is essentially everything that is within your map comp view here. So if we go back and we download features and you select places, this is what's going to give you cities and towns and villages. So you can see this gave us 2 points here. If you open up this new feature collection, which was just downloaded, you can see we have the city of Le Mans and the city of Angers. However, we do not have all the little towns and villages. And that is due to the fact that it pulls data relative to your zoom level. So if you zoom in a little bit more and you do the same thing again, download features, places, it's going to give you all the villages at this point. So now if I open this up, it gives us not only cities, but also towns and villages. So this is a really cool feature. However, I am now limited by my zoom level. So I can't download all the villages from my max wide zoom. Now I'm going to have to go through here and constantly download based on different view areas, which is, a little bit tedious. And in fact, if there's a workaround for this inside of GeoLayers, perhaps something you can change in the preferences, please let me know, because I could not find it. I mean, I hope there is a workaround, but I didn't find it. So if you find it, leave it in the comments section and help everybody out here. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go over to this website called Overpass Turbo. And this is a really cool tool that allows you to query and download and export various map features. So I'm going to go over to Le Mans here. Actually, let's search the department here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to search via keyword for villages. So if you come back over here and look at the feature properties of one of these villages, so I'm just going to select a random village. I'm going to go to feature properties. If you come and look at the actual lines here, you have one called place village. So I can actually search this Overpass Turbo via this keyword. So all you have to do is go to wizard, and then here it allows you to query this way. So all you have to do is type in the value here, which is place, and then you say equals village. And now click build and run query. This is going to take a little while because we have a lot. You can see just how many villages you have here. So now with these villages selected, you just go to export, and now I can export it out in whatever format I want. I'm going to do GeoJSON. Okay, so I've got my export here. All right, to import this file, go back to add features to browser, and then right here, import file. Double click on the GeoJSON. Now I have this big, beautiful block of my villages and this feature collection down here. If you open it up, you can see all the villages, the majority of which are point geometries. You can see the geometry type via the little symbol on the left here. And up here you have these squares. So these are actually polygons, which I do not want. When I draw all these out, I want them to draw out as small points or small dots. And they will not draw out that way if we have polygons. So I need to convert these polygons to point geometries. That's really easy. Just grab the feature collection, click on this little button down here that says points inside polygons, and then at the bottom it says convert polygons to points. And if I click that, it's going to add an entirely new feature collection of just points. And now I'll delete the original feature collection. So there we go. Now these consist of entirely point geometry. And to clean this up even further, I'm going to go click on feature properties, sort features by name, apply, and now it's a little bit more tidy here. All right, so now we have all of our villages. I could repeat this step with towns. So I'm going to go back to Overpass Turbo, and let's do another search here. And I'll just swap out this word for town. Run the query. There we go. So now we got some towns. Let's export these. Same kind of deal here. Now I'm going to, let me just rename this feature collection so I know. Call these villages. Add features to browser, import file. We'll go grab our new one, which is just the towns. Let's take a look here and make sure we don't have any polygons. Okay, there's no polygons. These are already all points. I'll rename these, or this feature collection, and I'm also going to sort them by name. Okay, our next problem is the fact that we just have this big block of villages. I don't want to draw out all these villages. I just want to draw out the features within Sarth here. So that's simple enough to do. We're just going to grab our villages feature collection. I'm going to control click Sarth, and then once again go down here, points inside polygons, and just click on points inside polygons. That's going to create a new feature here that is going to be everything inside of Sarth. And it actually also gives us everything here. It gave us the Sarth polygon, and then it gave us the villages inside of Sarth right here, which you can see there's 373 villages. So it's going to take me, if I do a village a day on my motorcycle, it's going to take me a little over a year to get this done. So now I could grab, let me grab this old village one here. We'll delete this one, rename this new one. This will be our villages. We could keep the number there in parentheses. Villages. Super cool. Now we'll bring this outside of this feature collection and delete these. And I'm going to do the same thing for the towns. I'm going to grab the towns, control click Sarth, and now points inside polygons. It's going to filter those out. And I will go grab this new one, feature properties, rename it towns. Cool. Now I'll delete the old towns here, delete this feature collection, And actually here are the cities. So obviously all I need for the city is Le Mans. I'm going to drag this outside of places, and I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going to actually grab this old Le Mans polygon and delete this. Okay, so now we have a nice feature collection of data here. So I'm going to grab all of this and add feature collection, and I'm going to call it motorcycles are cool. Apply. And now I'll actually export this just to save it out. Save all the work I just did. All right, now I need to figure out how I'm going to actually draw these out on the map. So I think for both towns and villages, there'll be simple dots of different sizes. And then maybe for Le Mans, since there's only one city in this particular department, I'm going to use a star. So first, I think we'll test this out via the towns because there's only 5 here. So I'll be able to really see the size and figure out what like stroke width I want to use. So I'm going to go over here to layer styles, and there's already an existing point layer style here. It's label color 1 point. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to go to edit styles, and I'm actually going to duplicate it, and we'll call this one town or towns. And right now it's telling us it's 20 pixel stroke width, opacity 100. So let's just keep this at a default and see what happens when I draw these out. So I'm going to go over here. It's going to draw these out as individual layers, and once again make sure it's not inside the map comp. I mean, maybe for this you do want it inside the map comp, and maybe you do want it all as one single layer. So if you want all these to be drawn on one single layer, the way that'll happen is all the individual assets will show up as shape groups inside of one shape layer. But I'd rather have them as individual layers right now. And now with this feature collection selected, we'll draw these out. Actually, I need to select all the individual ones, I think, to make sure that it doesn't just draw out one for the... That's actually a good size for the towns, but I just want to see for the villages, since there are so many, I definitely want them to be smaller than that. So I'll go over here, we're going to edit, and we'll duplicate this, villages, apply. And I think actually we need to change the width here. Let's do 10. And I'm actually just going to grab these towns, and just to see, I'm going to swap out the layer style to see how small these are. In fact, let me just grab a few here and swap them out for towns so we can get a little bit of a size difference. Maybe even go a little bit lower. So let's do 8 pixels. One other really important feature, if you're going to be animating your map, you want to pay attention to auto stroke width. So this is very important. If you have this selected and you're zooming in, they'll automatically scale down as your map zooms in. Whereas if you don't have this selected and I zoom in, they're going to be ginormous because the stroke width will not automatically resize to match the size of your comp. Okay, so this is looking good. I am going to delete all these features, and actually just as a test, let's see if I draw these out. Let's go grab towns. Let's draw these out. Okay, yeah, good. I can select the feature collection. I think it's only with labels that's the case. Okay, I'm going to save this out because now we are going to have a huge, this is going to be pretty processor intensive here. It's probably going to take a while to draw these out, but I'm going to make sure I switch this out to my villages layer style. And now, should I draw these out? You know what? I'm going to draw them out as one layer. So I'm going to turn off individual layers and draw it out, draw feature out. And it even tells me, hey, you're going to draw out 373 vertices. It's going to take a while. It's going to slow down After Effects. Should actually time this and see how long it takes. All right, there we go. All of our villages have been drawn out as one individual shape layer. Again, if you open up the contents here, now you have all of these. So if I was going to be animating these on, let's say I'm doing some kind of staggered animation, I would clearly want to have these as individual layers. So it's all based on your workflow. Maybe I want to change the label color here just to denote that these are actually a different property here. All right, last but not least, I'm going to draw out the city of Le Mans with a star. So I'm going to go grab the shape tool, and we're going to select star. I'm going to click on fill, and we're going to set it to a solid white color here with no stroke. And now I'm going to make sure I have no other layers selected, and I'm going to hold shift and double click the shape tool, which is going to give us this perfectly symmetrical star. I'll come down to the path here. Actually, there's no size here, so I'll just grab scale, S for scale. We'll scale it way down to like 5 or something. And then I'll rename it. And now to perfectly georeference this, I just need to select a layer and then go select the geometry map feature and then click on this pen tool and say pen layer to feature, and that's going to perfectly georeference it to the moment. And there we go. Now we've got this little map here. Now this is turning into a very long tutorial, so I think I need to break it into 2 parts. So stay tuned for the next part. If you want to see the next part where I finish up this cool motorcycle map, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and I will see you then. Big shout out to my tier 3 patrons, Tyson the Keymaster, Mike and Sandra over on YouTube at FlumiPlus1, Ryan, Josh, and Alex. Thank you all so much for making this video possible.